Gosh, I don't know. I'm not one of those people that always wanted to become an animator. You know, some people always were obsessed with animation from when they were little. I wasn't really. I loved animation movies. Like I loved Little Mermaid, but I never understood that it could be like a job, an actual job. I didn't really put it together that art was connected to animation movies. Like I just didn't understand that. So when I was younger, I guess I was an artist. I always like painted and drew and did like sculptures and stuff ever since I was little. But I never thought about animation. I never really understood the link or how that would even happen. And in my undergrad, I did fine art, and I had never even used a computer really at that time. And then I decided to go to grad school at NYU. They were having their first, it was the first year of them having the CADA program, which is the Center for Advanced Digital Arts. And you could learn like computer animation, which is such a generic term, right? It could mean like 10 different things. So it was a pretty general degree where they teach you all different stuff. It was a Master's of Science in Computer Arts, Digital Arts degree. And they teach you things like scripting, things like film narrative, modeling, lighting, textures, and of course animation. But they only had a few animation classes, and it's really hard to learn animation if you guys haven't noticed that already. You need more than 1 or 2 classes. I mean, when you go to a program that teaches general everything, they kind of throw you in animation. It's not a program like Anim School where we really teach you animation from the ground level up. Every class builds on the last, and it's a really well thought out curriculum. There, I think I was doing lip sync for like the second project I ever did. You know, a lip sync full body animation. So it's like you're not really ready for that when you have no animation experience. So you don't really end up with anything good. The whole time in school, all of the teachers would say, "Oh, you need to specialize in something. You need to specialize in something," and I didn't really know what I could specialize in. I really didn't even know that it was a real job for a while. It took me a while to even understand what animators do, and the more I learned about it, the more that I learned it's more like acting and personality and emotion, the more I liked it, because I've always been interested in psychology, and I had already taken acting classes before that, so it kind of used a lot of things I was already good at. So I've always been somebody that was just really interested in other people's emotions and all of that stuff. So it ended up being a really good fit for me. Yeah, it wasn't like a lifelong dream. It came along later, and I really enjoyed it. The more I learned about animation, the more I enjoyed it. And I went to NYU in 2001. So I've been doing animation for 13 years. That's a long time. Oh, gosh, you know, really the best thing for you guys to remember is the workflow. Obviously, I've been hammering that in pretty much every assignment, right? And I hope you understand why it's so important. But this is all you really need to do is make sure you're just doing all your homework, like all your backstory. So when you get into more complicated acting shots, make sure you're doing the workflow, because the workflow makes sure you do all of your homework, your backstory, your preparation, your planning before moving into the next step and the next step and the next step. The worst thing you can do is jump ahead and not do the preparation, because it's never going to result in something good. That's like Daniel Day-Lewis showing up on the movie set and saying, "Well, I haven't really read the script, but I'm ready to do the acting." You know, no, it takes Daniel Day-Lewis like a year to prepare for his movie roles, right? There's preparation that comes with animation. My favorite animated feature that I worked on, I think it was Bolt. Every experience was so different because you have the dynamics of the actual movie, you know, how good the movie is. You have the dynamics of the supervisors, how easy or difficult it is to work with the supervisors, the studio, how fun or not is it to work at the studio, the tools at the studio, the people at the studio, are they friendly and inclusive or are they not? You know, do you feel like you don't have any friends there, or do you feel like you have a million friends there? But I would have to say working on Bolt, because at Disney is really great to work on. I mean, I recommend, that's a great experience for any animator to be in a place like Disney with so much history And I really did like working there, and their quality level is so high that I think I did some of my best work there, even though it was a long time ago. They really have such a high standard, and I thought the movie was pretty good. From my experience, I've worked overseas, but when I worked in Spain, I have a Greek passport as well, so an EU passport. And from my experience of working at other big studios in the U.S., there are so many foreign people in feature animation studios, so many of all different countries. So I know that they hire people from overseas all the time. I would say at least 20 to 30% are not from the U.S., maybe even 40% at some studios. I think that if they want you particularly, they will make sure they get you. So I don't see it as a huge obstacle, and just in the meantime, just keep getting experience wherever you can. But in my opinion, if the studio wants you and thinks you're talented and the right fit, they have special departments that deal with that. It's not even like in some bigger studios, they have total other departments that deal with all that stuff. It doesn't affect the animator or the director or the head of animation who's hiring you as much. It's more of an HR issue in terms of that. So it really depends. But I haven't seen it as an issue. I think so. I think if you have the ability to come to CTN or to SIGGRAPH, I think it's a good idea because most places will do demo reel reviews. Like I've done them for Anim School many times at CTN and SIGGRAPH, where I'll be there all day long and look at people's demo reels, give them free demo reel reviews all day. If you are looking for a job at a studio, all of the studios will be there. And you can talk to the HR people, you can talk to the animators, you can leave your demo reel. They'll review everybody's demo reel if you leave it there. Or, that's what their job is there. They're trying to recruit. So that's part of the reason that the studios are even there. So I would say, it can't hurt. And if it's possible to make it to those places, it's a good idea because you can meet people in person. Then, whoever your contact is that you're meeting in person, you can keep in touch with them. Get some advice from them. If they don't hire you, you can ask for constructive feedback of why or what you need to do to improve or what's missing in your demo reel or whatever, and hopefully they will be able to give it to you. Also, a lot of studios will do interviews while they're there. It might be a good chance to meet the HR people or the people who are hiring in person while you're there. So it's a good time to get a lot of stuff done at once. So I think, yeah, definitely if you can make it there. There's other stuff in Europe too, I think. So any conventions, yeah, it's a good place to network too. Well, really the main thing is to make sure the quality of your animation is really high. So really try to put as much time as you can into your assignments because it's quite a work-intensive thing. And if you are only putting in 2 hours a week on your assignments, it's not likely that they're going to skyrocket and get really, really good, right? The best advice I can give is to put in as much time and effort as possible while you have this opportunity of Anim School, because Anim School is giving you all the tools that you need, but you have to do the actual work. So I think that, yeah, there's always going to be demand for animators of all different kinds, because not only is there feature animation, there could be cartoony feature animation. Video games are hugely successful, and they always need animators for that. There could be like cartoony video games, or there could be motion capture video games, TV shows, internet stuff. Animation is not going anywhere. It's just growing.